That's an odd picture. Hi, everyone. I'm Dror, and I am co-founder and chief security officer at CoroNet. And the title of the talk is Securing the Other 600 Services. So what you're seeing here is the fortress. It's the digital fortress most enterprises build around the most valued assets that they have. And as you can tell from this slide, there's many different moving parts on it, and it's complex. It's very complex. The fortress is actually made up usually of between 20 to 50 vendors that have to be very heavily integrated in order to be able to provide that security envelope. It comes with a very high financial cost, but beyond the financial cost, it also comes with an enormous time cost because it takes about 8 to 18 months to introduce any new service into the fortress. Ultimately, what this leads to is extremely unhappy users because not only do we not give them the agility that they're used to these days, but also most fortresses degrade significantly the user experience that they're used to. Now, when we look at the fortress and the services that are in the fortress, usually there are a couple dozen services in the fortress. However, over the last few years, what we've seen is that most of our users have gone outside, and an average large enterprise today has over 600 different services that are being used on a daily basis by their users that basically live outside the fortress, completely unprotected. Now, the main thing to take away from that is that there is the before world. We call this the before slide, because in the previous world, IT had complete control over all aspects of everything. They had control over the device, the network, the applications, the servers, the entire cycle. But in the BY world that we're living in today, users are expecting to use an app that they've downloaded on their device, connecting from anywhere to any service that they wish in order to make them more productive. Meaning that IT completely lost control and has no hooks into any of those different items that you're seeing there. What does that mean? The users are not doing this to spite IT. They're doing this to be more productive. They're used to, especially the younger audience, is used to being very productive and very quick, very nimble. So obviously, very large organizations listened very carefully to what their users are saying and immediately introduced software that identifies services outside the fortress, then force them into the fortress at a huge cost and also at a huge degradation of service for the users. Or if they can't force them into the fortress, then they block them completely. And of course, that always works because users will never find a way to go around the block and find a way to use the cloud services anyway. And if they can't do these three things, then they pretend these services don't exist. Each and every one of these cases, this is an unacceptable behavior because you can't, in the balance between security and convenience, convenience will always win in the eyes of the users. And pretending that these services don't exist really doesn't help us. So what we propose is a complete conceptual change. So on the axis of governance versus security, if you look at the fortress, it's way up there. It's very secure, and there's huge amount of control on everything that it does. But it comes with a cost. Extremely high and complex implementation, high cost, and very cumbersome user experience. If you've ever tried to use a container in a VPN from a hotel room in Hong Kong, you know what I mean. On the other side, the other 600 services are all the way down there. Low cost, agile, great UX, no security, no governance. Now, to move them up to the right-hand corner is extremely expensive, but also it's not very scalable. Can you picture an organization integrating 600 different services into the fortress one by one at a cost of about 8 to 18 months each? That's quite impossible. What we're proposing is moving these 600 services down to the right on the security path only, letting go some of the control. Now, services that must be controlled, by all means, put them in the fortress. But those are the minority. The other 600 need to be down there. There are two things that you need to take away from this. One is to move things down this path. How can you control something you know nothing about? How can you control the unknown? You have an unknown device connecting through unknown infrastructure into unknown services. So the one thing that you need is to rethink security, because today we're thinking about each one of those as its own secure platform. And you need an all-in-one, which is really what we bring to the table. So CoroNet is an all-in-one security platform for the other 600 services outside of Fortress. On the device, we ensure that the device has not been compromised in any way. On the cloud side, we've pre-integrated with a lot of the leading cloud vendors, and we're adding new services on an ongoing basis, which means that we can have a risk-based access policy to these services, and we can do remote wipe, for example. But the most important thing and the secret sauce that we bring to the table is everything that is in between. You see, on the devices are pretty locked down by now. The cloud services, we can't really expect to do better security than Microsoft for Office 365, but everything that is in between is where the risk actually lies, especially if there is no other security. And we're the only company in the world that is able to identify compromised infrastructure before the device connects to it. We can identify malicious activity around the user, and we can automatically connect the user to only safe infrastructures. What the result is that our customers have complete freedom to launch any kind of service that they wish on any platform into any location in the world. Very rapid introduction, so instead of months, it's literally minutes. Zero integration and customization on their part, because we've done the heavy lifting for them, so they don't need to do any of the integration. And obviously that leads to a fraction of the cost of what it would be to move services into the Fortress. And last but not least, and most importantly, very high user satisfaction, because we did not degrade the user experience. We did not change their agile experience that they're looking for. And as we know, in security, high customer satisfaction, in our case, the employee is the customer, high customer satisfaction equals high compliance. Now, how big is this market? So obviously, the obvious market that we're targeting is the enterprise. And the enterprise already has a Fortress, but it has, as I said before, the 600 services outside the enterprise, whether it's shadow IT, cost-sensitive SaaS, whatever you want to call it. So for those, the white box, we are basically the only solution they need. Instead of trying to cobble up all kinds of different tools that protect every part of the chain that I've shown you before, we are the only solution that they would need. But interestingly enough, there is another world out there, and that's what we call the new gen organizations. These are organizations that were born in the last decade and have grown very quickly, with millennials as their employees, who simply will not accept a Fortress because it inhibits their ability to work. So what we offer there is the only secure platform they'll ever need in order to introduce services and manage their business on a daily basis. And last but not least, small businesses, SMEs, SMBs, they wish they could afford a Fortress, but they really can't. And with us, they have a solution that they can introduce services and run them securely on any platform from anywhere. So if you have any questions about securing the other 600 services, Guy Moskowitz, my partner and CEO, and myself are here for the next couple of days. Hit us up with any questions. Thank you.